Hello, good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. Welcome to the Worldwide Studios, and we're here this evening on Saturday evening to have 5 short stories that we've prepared for you. So, welcome to the live stream, and it's so good to see you guys here. Let us know where you're from when you stop by. So, we're just going to be hanging out by the fireplace with myself floating around from time to time. In the background, as you can see, and we'll be getting into some stories pretty soon. We do have a few shout outs this evening as well, so before we start getting into the stories, probably just give somebody a little time to come in, and hopefully we'll see some people soon. So good to see Kissy Pixels with us. Thank you, Kissy, for being with us this evening. Thank you, and Druidian there, one of our moderators. Hoping also to be joined there by one of our moderators, Eleanor, who should be stopping by sometime soon. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you all soon, and we'll be getting on with those stories. Let me see. I'm just going to check a few settings. But while I do that, we're just going to be looking at the first story and a little background, about that story. Hi guys, thank you for hanging out with us this evening. This is the Worldwide Folklore Tales, and we're just going to a little background on this story. Our first story this evening is The Lantern Watcher of Bramble Hollow, and this is a kind of an oldie, worldy story, I guess, kind of a European story. So we're probably going to head into that story real soon. But I just wanted to say hi to everybody, and Kissy Pixels again, thank you for being with us. And if you're just stopping by, then I hope your weekend is going well, wherever you are in the world. Very snowy and very cold Maine, United States, on this February evening. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just start with the first story. Please jump in the live chat, say who you are, where you're from if you'd like, or just hang out. But sit back and relax, and we'll go through with The Lantern Watcher of Bramble Hollow. Old paths remember things. That's what the elders of Bramble Hollow used to say, back when the village was little more than stone cottages clustered around a common well, and everyone knew which roads were safe after dark. The path that curved past the hollow was older than the oldest roof beam. Packed earth, smoothed by boots and cartwheels, older than the boundary stones themselves. And on cold nights, when frost silvered the hedgerows and the fog pressed low against the fields, lantern light used to drift there. Not from anyone, just there. The lantern watcher was never spoken of loudly, not because he was feared exactly, but because naming it felt like calling to something that already knew your voice. Those who claimed to see it described it differently. Some said it was tall and spare, wrapped in something like a traveler's cloak, though no wind ever stirred it. Others swore, though, that it was nothing more than a shape the dark made when it grew tired of being empty. But all agreed on the lantern, iron-bound, old-fashioned, with glass gone cloudy from age, glowing with a steady warmth like embers banked for the night. The light never flickered. That's how you knew it wasn't human. The lantern watcher did not hurry. He did not speak. It stirred at bends in the path beyond the last cottage, where the road narrowed and the fields gave way to twisted hawthorn and low, whispering trees, always just far enough ahead that you could see it, but never quite reach it. When travelers followed the glow, just to keep their footing, just to feel less alone, the path seemed to soften. Frozen ruts smoothed beneath their boots, briars leaned aside, and the cold loosened its grip. Some arrived at their doors sooner than expected, hearth fires still warm, as if they'd never gone out. And others found themselves before places that should not have been there. Stone foundations swallowed by moss, empty doorways leading to nowhere, or cottages that felt known in the bones despite never having been lived in. There were rules, passed down like recipes and warnings. Never thank the lantern watcher. Never ask it to guide you. And if it ever stopped walking, you stopped too. Now, no one could say where the rules came from, only that ignoring them never ended well. One winter, after a snowfall so heavy it bowed the orchard trees and swallowed the field walls, a newcomer arrived in Bramble Hollow. He had the look of a man between places. Boots worn thin, cloak patched, and confidence born of disbelief. When he saw the lantern ahead of him in the old path, he laughed, called out, asking if the bearer knew the way to the main road before the night fully set in. The lantern halted. Those watching from the far edge of the field said the light dimmed, not by much, only enough to feel it. Then it turned and began to drift from the path, slipping between the trees where the fog lay thickest. The man followed. By morning, his footprints ended cleanly at the hollow's edge, pressed sharp into the snow. Beyond that, there were no tracks at all, no signs of haste, no signs of fear, just the quiet sense that he had stepped somewhere winter could not reach. After that, small things changed. Lanterns burned longer in the village without being trimmed. Doors were sometimes found latched against the wind, even when no one remembered closing them. And on certain nights, when the fog crept low and the bells in the distance fell silent, a warm glow could still be seen drifting along the old path, pausing patiently at the bend beyond the last stone wall. Some say the lantern watcher keeps travelers from wandering forever. Others say it chooses who does. But the elders of Bramble Hollow still say the same thing they always have. If you ever see that steady golden light waiting for you on a dark road, mind your steps, follow only if you must, and whatever you do, don't speak to it. Because old paths remember things, and in places this old, they remember everyone. Hey guys, hi there, welcome back. It's Worldwide Folklore Tales coming live from the studio this evening, and we've just read our first live story. Hope that you were listening and you caught some of that, and if not, then perhaps some guys will watch later on after the event. But you know, we have our, 4 more stories to come, which I'll be reading live, and I'll appear as as we are by the fireplace right now. And then, when I'm reading out, then I'll be in the background while I read. So, thanks for stopping by the live chat. Thanks for saying hi. There's a long few names in there. Akin, word means something still. Yeah, I said hi. Thank you. Hi. Hope you're still around. Yeah, stop by in the live chat there and say hello. Have just a big shout out for a happy belated birthday to Eleanor, one of our moderators, who hopefully would have been with us this evening. Perhaps they'll stop by in a while. That was on the 3rd of February, so Eleanor, hope you get this. Happy birthday for the 3rd, and we apologise for not catching up with you sooner on that. But we trust that you're having a really good month of February and celebrating. So good to have you with us. Kissy, yay! Yeah, happy birthday to Eleanor. Yeah, our first story was kind of an old world story, I guess. We sort of write some of these, but then a few of them are actually based on real historical stories. Like a couple of them in Maine this evening have come from very close by to where we are in Maine, a very snowy and very cold Maine. Then, the Seguin Lighthouse is a story that is known to many. So if you ever wanted to look that story up, that's one of the stories that we're going to be retelling, I guess, this evening. So in between times, I'm probably going to take a short break and get because in my throat sometimes gets a little sore right now, and I do have a little sore throat. So hope you can bear with me with that. We've also got a few things coming up over the next few weeks I wanted to just mention real quick, which was our collaborations, which we are going to be doing live with a few friends, creators and other creators on YouTube. And so we're going to be maybe doing some story work with them, or maybe perhaps live interviews as well. So that's coming up in the future. And we're excited for that. So we have a few people there who are going to be interviewing with us here or live on our Worldwide Folklore Tales channel, and then perhaps even on their channels if that's how they would like to go ahead with that. And if you do have any stories you'd like to share with us that you'd like us to look at and maybe produce, or even read live, then we could do that for you, which would be exciting. You can email us right now at worldwidefolkloretales@gmail.com, which is the best way to get in touch with us at this point. We do have a Discord server, a small Discord server, and so for those who might wish to join that and connect with us behind the scenes, and also check out some of the things that we're doing there, then you can email us and we can get you involved if you use Discord, or if you wish to try and download that. But for now, I'm going to take a short break, and then I'll be right back with the next story, a second story in this 5-story evening. Hope you're having a good time. I'll be right back. Hi guys, I'm back. Thank you for hanging out with us. Just took a little break there, and just wanted to say a quick hello to everybody that's stopping by. Dream Moon, good to see you. Thanks for saying hi in the chat. Let us know where you're from in the world, and how you're doing out there this week. Cold February weekend here in Maine. We're just hanging out by this campfire, and then our second story is The Light That Never Slept. And I'm going to read that just in a couple of seconds for you. So basically, The Light That Never Slept is the Seguin Island lighthouse in Maine. It's based on a very real story. So, and if you wanted to check it out, it's spelled, the Seguin part is spelled Seguin, Seguin, and pretty spooky story. So we're going to do our version of that. It's a sort of a recap, and hope you'll stick around for that. So I'll be going off camera while we do that for now. And I'll just read that for you. I hope you're enjoying your evening. Oh, Australia. Good to see you, Australia. Wow, yeah. Early day for you, yeah, buddy. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, good to see you. Um, yeah, it must be still a little late toward the summertime, I guess, over down under right now. So I hope that everything has gone well and you've had a good summertime. You'll be pleased to know that over here in Maine, United States, we've had nothing but Arctic conditions since November, and it's been really, really tough. But it happens every few years, and we're looking forward to the spring and what we're going to be doing in the future here at Worldwide Folklore Tales. And some of the content, actually, if you go back, you can see the woodlands and the stories that we tell and the campfire stories. So it's really nice to meet you. I hope that your day is going well. Sunday, I believe, for you. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna have a quick drink, and then I'm gonna read the next story, the Seguin Island Lighthouse, the light that never slept. There are places along the Maine coast where the sea feels older than memory. Seguin Island is one of them, a small rock of land off the mouth of the Kennebec River. Battered by wind and salt, it has carried a lighthouse since the late 18th century. Long before the mainland felt settled, and long before anyone questioned what isolation might do to a person. The light was meant to guide sailors home. But for those who lived beside it, the light never rested. Keepers and their families spoke of the island as a place apart from time. Days measured by tides, nights ruled by the steady turning of the beam. When the fog rolled in, and it often did, the world shrank to stone walls, crashing surf, and the sound of the wind threading through iron railings. The lighthouse had one rule: it could never go dark. And in the mid-1800s, a keeper and his wife were stationed there together. Records describe them as capable, educated, and prepared for isolation. To ease the long evenings, the keeper's wife brought a piano across the water, an unusual comfort on a rock surrounded by sea. At first, the music was a blessing. Sailors passing in the night later claimed they could hear it drifting over the waves. Soft melodies carried by fog, rising and falling with the surf. It made the island feel alive, human. But sounds travel strangely at sea, and on Seguin Island there was nowhere for it to go. The piano echoed through the keeper's quarters, up the lighthouse stairs, and into the lantern room itself. The same tunes, night after night, repeated not for practice, but for company. As weeks passed, the keeper began to ask for quiet. The light demanded vigilance, the wind demanded patience, and the music, constant, familiar, inescapable, began to wear thin. The sea, after all, never stopped speaking. Accounts differ on what happened next. Some say arguments became common. and others insist the couple simply stopped speaking altogether. But what is known is that supply boats began receiving odd messages, requests to shorten visits or to hurry departures, to leave things at the dock rather than bringing them inside. When the piano stopped playing, no one noticed at first. And on a fog-heavy night, a relief crew arrived to check on the light. From offshore, everything appeared normal. The beam swept the water in its already steady, unwavering arc. But inside the keeper's quarters, the silence was wrong. The piano sat closed, cold and untouched. The keeper was found alone. What had become of his wife was never clearly recorded. Some say that she had been taken back to the mainland earlier, ill from the isolation. Others whisper that she simply vanished into the roar of the wind and water, swallowed by the island the way so many sounds were. The keeper himself never spoke of her again, and after that, no one stayed long on Seguin Island. Later keepers reported footsteps on the stairs where no one else was there, and doors found open against the wind. And on certain nights when the fog pressed close and the sea felt strangely quiet, music could be heard, faint, distant, as if drifting up from below the stone. Not loud enough to follow, but not clear enough to recognize. Just enough to notice. Today, Seguin Island Lighthouse still stands, its beam sweeping faithfully across the dark water. Visitors say it feels peaceful by day, bright, salt clean, and almost cheerful. But those who linger until dusk say something changes when the light begins to turn. The air grows tight, the walls seem to listen, and somewhere beneath the sound of waves and wind there is the faintest impression of a melody trapped in the stone, repeating itself, waiting for someone who has nowhere else to go. Because some lights are built to guide others home, and some never learn how to stop watching. Okay guys, that hope you're still hanging out with us with our Saturday evening here over in Maine, United States, and enjoyed that second story from our short 5-story selection, and that was the Seguin Lighter. I really enjoyed that one because I can really picture, the story. And living living in Maine, we look around Maine for original stories, obviously stories that are folklore, stories that are myth and legend, and thank you, Kissy, I really appreciate that. And there are so many to choose from paranormal stories, ghost stories, to some very tragic stories too, so it's difficult sometimes on which ones to pick, and I really like the Seguin Lighthouse one because it's still kind of a spooky place, and people do stay there. You can stay there, visit, actually stay there. So maybe that's something that we might try and look into doing one summer, when the weather's better, and perhaps even film some of that. That would be fun. So welcome again, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening by the fireside in Worldwide Folklore Tales Studio. Again, just a big shout out to all our friends out there, our subscribers. Great for you to stop by, but also our new subscribers today, and that's fantastic. Hope you stick around, check out what we're going to be doing in the very close future as spring or winter turns into spring. and we bring back our live outside cameras, our bird cameras, our wildlife, and our campfire storytelling, live and pre-recorded too. So there's going to be some exciting things to look forward to. We were actually talking about a 24-hour live stream at some point, and that might be a possibility, a wildlife live stream. So we're not ruling that out, but people, in the past have mentioned that. So I'm going to take a real quick break, guys, with that. So please stick with us, hang out, maybe chat in the chat there, the live chat's there for you. Hang out and let us know if you have any thoughts about that last story. We'll be moving on to our third story in a little while, which is the moose that walks without sound. And another Maine story there from Maine, northern Maine in particular. So going back to a little myth and folklore there from Maine for you. But I'll be right back, and stick around. Hi guys, thank you for sticking with us, and we're right back now after our short break there. Um, actually, I'm gonna read this one and just stay in picture with. So I'm loving the campfire scenes. We have a lot more scenes that we want to play in the background, and you'll see more of me in those. I'm just chroma keyed right now for because it's a kind of a cozy image for us, but. The other ones are actually our backgrounds from the folklore forest and some amazing winter scenes. So some of our projected backgrounds will be like that, actually from our folklore forest here. So we'll move on. So story 3 right now is let's see now, the moose that walks without sound. Again, based from northern Maine, and so based on a true story or a true legend or myth or folklore. So I'll read this with you, and hope you're having a great day, relaxing. And so, in the deep woods of northern Maine, there is a saying amongst old loggers. If you hear nothing at all, that's when you should be listening. The forests up there are thick with spruce and fir, stitched together by frozen streams and narrow logging roads that vanish after the first heavy snow. In winter, the woods swallow sound. Footsteps do. Voices don't carry. Even the wind seems careful where it moves. Moose are common enough in those parts, massive, ungainly things, shoulders taller than a man, antlers like bare branches. You hear a moose before you see it. Branches snap, snow slides from boughs, and the ground remembers their weight. That's how you know this story isn't about a moose. Loggers began talking about it in the late 1800s, back when camps burned low through long nights and men learned the language of the forest by necessity. They called it different things depending on where they worked. The white bull, or the still walker, the winter king. But they all described the same thing. Too large, too pale, and silent. Those who claimed to see it said it moved between the trees without bending them. Snow did not crunch beneath its hoofs. Its breath never steamed in the cold. It passed through the woods the way fog does, part of the land, but not bound by it. The first sightings were dismissed as exhaustion, men half frozen, ice playing tricks on the long dark, but then patterns began to emerge. Camps that reported the silent moose would find their trails subtly changed by morning. Fresh tracks would simply stop. Familiar landmarks felt misplaced. A bend in the river arrived too soon. A ridge took longer to reach than it should have. No one was harmed, but no one felt quite, right afterwards either. The old hands developed rules. If you saw the moose standing still, you stopped too. If it crossed your path, you did not follow. And if the woods went quiet all at once, you turned back, even if you swore you knew the way. One winter, a surveyor working alone claimed to see the creature clearly in the blue light before dawn. He said it stood at the edge of a frozen clearing, head lowered, antlers rimmed with frost, but for a moment he felt no fear, only a deep, impossible calm. Then the moose looked at him, not with an animal's curiosity, but with something older, measuring, as if weighing whether he belonged where he stood. The surveyor said the forest shifted around that gaze, not moving, just reconsidering itself. When he blinked, the moose was gone. He reached his camp an hour later than expected, from a direction he could not explain. His compass no longer pointed true for the rest of the season. And even now, hunters and hikers sometimes report the same thing. A shape between trees at dusk. A pale bulk where no sound should be. A moment when the forest feels wider than it was a heartbeat before. They never find tracks. The elders say the spectre moose is not a creature at all, but a boundary, something the woods use to remind people where they stand. A way of turning the lost without force. A warning made of antler and silence. Others believe it is the memory of every moose that ever walked those forests, moving together as one, keeping the old paths from being forgotten. But everybody agrees on this. If you ever see a moose in the Maine woods that makes no sound when it moves, don't test it. Don't name it. And don't try to prove you're not afraid. Because the forest already knows where you are. And it decides whether you leave the same way you came. That's the story, guys. And that's kind of gave me a little chills, actually, because when we do see moose, and mostly deer where we are, which is good, a lot of deer, and they do come in, but close to the house at night and have, eat the bird seeds that we have out for the birds. But yeah, that's another one too. It's another northern Maine story, which I wasn't aware of before personally until I started researching, and we were researching now. It's funny. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. So some of the things that we're things that we're going to be doing soon is we're going to be looking at vampires. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but for some people we'd like to do something in the historical fact of vampires, where history comes from, which is to sort of tie the myth to the Bram Stoker things. And if you're interested in that, then look out for that. That'll be coming up in a few weeks. We might do a live presentation or a premiere for that, not sure, or it could just be an episode. But either way, if you don't like vampires, then you don't have to watch it. But we're going to go into our next story again, and I hope you guys are hanging out with us in the live chat and watching and listening, and hoping that you're enjoying the stories. And so the fourth story is actually coming from Colombia in South America. So we're switching a little bit now from the United States, Northern Americas, down to the South Americas, and to El Cibon, which I'm not really, it's Venezuela or Colombia region. So we're skipping around the world a little bit, and basically it's the whistle that walks the night. So another sort of a creepypasta sound in the night story, but I won't give too much away. And I'll just be off the camera for this one while I read this. So I'll be right back. Hope you enjoy, guys. Okay, guys, thank you for hanging out with us this evening again. Just wanted to reintroduce this next fourth story out of our short story series, this live story series this evening. And thank you again for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed the stories so far. And so, this next one, real quickly, is The Whistle That Walks the Night. It's from South Venezuela and Colombia, so we'll see you after the story. Relax and enjoy while I read this for you. In the wide plains where the grass runs long and the nights stretch open, there is a sound people hear or learn to fear before they ever understand it. A whistle. It carries on the wind, thin and wandering, drifting across fields and tree lines with no clear source. It rises and falls through a simple and even melody, notes that never quite settle where you expect them to. And those who live in the Llanos say the rule is this. Hey, DJ Dennis, welcome to the show. Good to see you. If the whistle sounds close, it is far away. And if it sounds distant, then El Cibon is already near. No one remembers exactly when the stories began. Some say the sound has always been there, stitched into the land like insects and night birds. Others claim it followed the cattle trails, arriving when people first tied to tame the plains. Excuse me. What everyone agrees on, though, is that the whistling comes from a figure that walks alone. El Cibon is said to move the open land at night. Tall and narrow against the horizon, never hurried. He carries no lantern, yet he is never lost. The wind seems to know where he is and bends itself around him, delivering his song where it will be heard. Travelers describe the whistle differently. Some hear it as lonely, others as patient, and a few say it sounds almost thoughtful, like someone counting steps in the dark. Those who hear it for the first time often stop what they're doing. They listen. That is the second mistake. The elders say El Cibon does not chase. He does not need to. The whistle does the work for him, pulling attention away from paths and fires and familiar sounds. The night grows wider, and when you listen too long, the land forgets where it placed its markers. Campers tell of moments when the whistle seems to circle them, though the melody never changes. Ranchers speak of hearing it from opposite directions at once. Dogs whine when it passes, refusing to lift their heads. And then there are the nights when the whistle stops. People say that silence is worse. One man, traveling home late with the moon low and red, claimed the whistling followed him for hours, always distant, always just beyond the next rise. He never saw anything, but he felt watched in the way you feel heat on your skin before you see the fire. When the sound finally faded, he hurried past the rest of the way without looking back. The next morning, he found footprints near his door, not leading in, not leading out, just standing there, pressed deep into the dust, as if someone had paused to listen. Some say El Cibon is a warning, not a hunter, a reminder that night belongs to more than just people. Others believe he is the echo of a traveler who never reached home, still walking, still calling out to see who might answer. But no one stays outside when the whistling begins. They close their doors, they lower their voices, they let the sounds pass through the night without responding. Because in the plains, the land is vast and forgiving until it isn't. And if you ever hear a whistle drifting softly through the dark, sounding far away when it shouldn't, don't follow it, don't answer it, and whatever you do, don't assume you're alone just because you can't see anyone. The night has a way of walking closer than it sounds. Okay, hi guys, thank you for listening, thank you for hanging out. Just a big shout out there. I see DJ Dennis in the mix. Good to see you for hanging out here real quick with us and stopping by. And we just got a couple of other things, collaborations to mention. I've said that before earlier, but don't forget also we're going to be showing some merch, I think, at some point in the near future, which I think will be interesting to look at. A couple of Mouse Mats t-shirt, which I'll probably wear myself. You know, I will wear myself because they look good. But that's coming up. If you're new to the channel, thank you. If you're subscribed, thank you so much. So good to be live again, back from Maine in the United States, in a very cold and freezing Maine. So we appreciate where you're spending your Saturday or your Sunday, wherever you are in the world. And I hope you're enjoying this live show. Our next story 5, will wrap us up for this live stream, I should say. And I'm really having a lot of fun just talking about some of the stories. This one is The Ones Who Call from the Water. So it's an Alaskan story, which pretty much kind of ties in with Maine right now, right? Because it's freezing. And I'll be honest, it feels like I'm in Alaska somehow. We're in Alaska. Well below freezing temperatures for weeks now. So it's ice upon ice upon ice. It melts, then it freezes, and it melts. So we really can't wait for spring to sort of bring a little warmer temperatures for us here. And we'll see that melt eventually. But anyway, I won't bore you with my Maine weather. I'll get on with story 5. The Ones Who Call from the Water. I'll see you again after the story, after I read this for you. Enjoy. Okay, thank you guys for hanging out. Big shout out to Eleanor Salas. Thank you for joining us. Just wanted to say hi and belated happy birthday to you for February 3rd, which I missed. I do apologize, but big hand for Eleanor, who just had a birthday and celebrating all month this month, I hope. So that's good. Glad you could join us toward the end here. So we've just had the 4 stories, and I'm going to get on with this one. I hope you've rewatch it if you've missed the first live short storytelling. This is The Ones Who Call from the Water. Along Alaska's southeastern coast, where the forest presses close to the sea and fog moves like something alive, there are sounds you are taught to ignore. Waves breaking against stone, ice shifting in the tide, and voices that sound almost right. The Tlingit people have a name for what makes these voices. Kushtaka. They are said to be shape changers, part otter, part human, belonging to the narrow places where land, river and ocean touch. Not fully one thing or the other. Not meant to be understood the way animals are understood, only avoided. The old stories say the Kushtaka do not announce themselves. They do not roar or rush or reveal sharp teeth. They call softly, using sounds that draw people closer without fear. A baby crying near the shore. A familiar voice calling your name through the trees. Or the sound of someone struggling in cold water. The voice is never quite urgent enough to panic you, just enough to make you hesitate. Those who have lived along the coast for generations know the rules. If you hear something calling for help where no one should be, you do not answer alone. If you hear your name spoken from the fog, you do not follow it. And if the shoreline goes suddenly quiet, you turn back, even if you're certain someone needs you. One fisherman told of hearing laughter while checking his nets near dusk. It sounded like children playing somewhere down the beach, just beyond the bend of a rock where the fog thickened. He stood there for a long moment, trying to place the sound. There were no children in his village. And when the laughter shifted, stretching, slowing, almost leaning the sound as it made it, he felt the cold crawl up his spine. He backed away without turning his back to the water, just as he'd been taught. By morning, his nets had been neatly gathered on the shore. No tracks, no signs of hands, just wet rope laid out as though someone had meant to help. Others speaking of seeing shapes moving through the shallows of night, upright for a moment, then slipping smoothly beneath the surface, too fluid to be human and too deliberate to be an animal. Sometimes people are found later, confused but unharmed, far from where they last remembered standing. They speak of being guided through the forest, kept warm and told to rest. They never describe faces clearly, and they never return to the water the same way again. The elders say the Kushtaka are not evil, not exactly. They are keepers of thresholds, creatures of the in-between. They protect their shores the way storms protect the sea. They do not hate people. They simply do not want them wandering where they don't belong. And that is why, even now, people in the coastal villages lower their voices near the water at night. They travel together when the fog comes in thick, and when someone hears a sound that doesn't sit right in the chest, they pretend they didn't hear it at all. Because in Alaska, the land listens back. And if you answer every voice that calls to you from the dark, eventually something will learn how to sound exactly like someone you trust. That's the beauty. All right. Well, I enjoyed that, reading that one too. My voice is getting a little husk and a bit sore. So thank you guys. This has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed this last hour or so with us. Thank you for bearing with us during the intermissions where I've had to take a quick break. Um, Next time I'll make sure I get some green tea or something just to soothe the throat. But I've had a lot of fun with this. So just going to hang out. Let me know if you wanted to just, if you've been listening to the story. And thank you, Dennis. Yeah, DJ Dennis loves the water graphic. I was just explaining earlier about how we want to chroma key in some of our own backgrounds for the live screen, so we can interchange those. And you'd know quite a lot, And thank you, Kissy. DJ Dennis is a creator himself, runs his own music channel. He's coming up with some great new stuff soon. And so if you like tribal music, shamanic music, as a friend of ours, you need to go check out his channel on YouTube. So that's DJ Dennis in the Mix. Easy to find, and he's usually live daily as well. So stop by and say hi to him, check him out, and subscribe. And so I sent you there. I did that. So coming up in the next few weeks, we're going to be doing some interviews, and one person I would love to interview will be DJ Dennis. And if you ever feel like doing that somehow, Dennis, then maybe we can talk about that. Related to creators, YouTube, and all kinds of things, music in particular. A lot of things I'd like to do is put music in the background of things, different music than what you can use, and so sometimes it's good to have other people's music in that background too. So again, guys, I hope wherever your days are up to this weekend, this Saturday night, Sunday, wherever you're from in the world. Thank you, Eleanor. We'll try and get you into the moderator role there at some point, if we can just do that for you. We're just about to do that. Yeah. And managing, please. Okay. Good stuff. Welcome, Eleanor Sellers, managing moderator to the Worldwide Folklore Tales Blue Team, I guess. And so we're going to be wrapping this up shortly. So thank you, everybody, for stopping by. We'll look out for the next live stream. Will be coming up in about a week. We usually do weekends, and it could be 5 short stories again. But we are covering Vampire soon, which we're working on over the next few weeks. And that's particularly just to go through the roots of Vampire. We're going to be looking at the history of that, where it comes from, looking at Romania particularly, and really kind of exploring that a little bit, I think. So hope you'll stop by and enjoy that, or rewatch this live show. So thank you again, guys. You have a blessed day, evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Worldwide Folklore Tales signing off for the evening. We'll see you next time. Live long and prosper.